Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a company that's as influential as it is secretive. We're talking about McKinsey and Company, and we're going to deconstruct their blueprint for success.
So let's start with the big question, right? It's really at the heart of their nearly century-long dominance. How does a company become the go-to advisor for CEOs and world leaders? I mean, their global reach is just undeniable. We're talking about offices in over 130 cities. And get this, more than half of their revenue now comes from outside the United States. That's a huge footprint. But to really get how they got so massive, we have to rewind the clock. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. So it all kicked off in 1926. The founder, James O. McKinsey, had this really novel idea for the time, something he called management engineering, basically using hard data to solve business problems. But here's the twist. McKinsey passed away pretty early on. The whole thing could have just fizzled out. But it didn't. A lawyer named Marvin Bower stepped in and relaunched the New York office. And honestly, he's the guy who really built the firm we know today. Okay, let's really dig into this part because this is where the magic happens. This is where the firm's entire DNA was basically written by its true architect, Marvin Bower. You see, Bower didn't just want to build another company. He wanted to create a professional ethos, a strict set of rules. First up, advice only. This was huge. It meant they were the objective coaches, not plays on the field getting mixed up in company politics. Second, client first. This sounds obvious now, but back then it was radical. The idea was to always put the client's best interests ahead of McKinsey's own profits. And finally, the big one firm. This created a partner-owned, team-first spirit. It meant a consultant in London and a consultant in Tokyo were all on the same team, working for the collective good. And these weren't just nice ideas on a poster. They were the absolute law of the firm. So this whole idea of an elite, super collaborative team, totally by design. It was not an accident. And it was enforced by a policy that's become, well, legendary in the business world for how demanding it is. Yep, we're talking about the famous, or maybe infamous, up or out policy. The deal was simple. You either get promoted to the next level within a couple of years, or you're out. It sounds harsh, but what it did was create this relentless engine for performance. It guaranteed that only the absolute top performers would stick around, and it kept the firm constantly injected with fresh, ambitious talent. Okay, so with this incredibly strong, high-performance culture in place, McKinsey wasn't just advising companies anymore. They started inventing the tools of modern business, the frameworks that would literally change how people think about strategy forever. Take the 7S framework. This was revolutionary. McKinsey's big point here was that all the hard stuff, like your strategy, your company structure, it's totally useless without the right soft stuff to back it up. Think about it. You can have a brilliant strategy for innovation, but if your leadership style is super bureaucratic and hates risk, it's dead on arrival. The magic happens when all 7 of these S's are working together in harmony.
And then there's the 3 horizons model. This gave leaders a super practical way to think about growth. It's like, okay, Horizon 1 is about protecting your main business right now. Horizon 2 is about building out new things for the near future. And Horizon 3, that's the crazy game-changing stuff way down the line. It's a roadmap that helps you balance making money today with inventing the future tomorrow.
But look, no blueprint is perfect, right? And even the strongest foundations get stress-tested. For McKinsey, the modern era brought some really significant challenges. For starters, just look at their growth. From 2009 to 2020, their employee count exploded from 17,000 to 30,000. That's huge. I mean, they nearly doubled in a decade. And all that rapid growth put an insane amount of pressure on that tight-knit, one-firm culture that Bower had so carefully built. So suddenly, they're facing this perfect storm, a kind of triple threat. First, there's the culture strain. How do you keep that special sauce when you're growing so fast? Second, public backlash. They started getting a lot of heat for some of their client choices, which really put a dent in their pristine, trusted image. And third, tech disruption. The rise of AI and big data analytics threatened to make their old-school way of doing things, well, obsolete. So, what did they do? Did they crumble? Nope. They made a really smart strategic pivot. They went back to basics, reinvesting in those core values to reconnect everyone. They faced the criticism head-on, even publishing their first-ever transparency reports. And that tech threat? They tackled it by buying up cutting-edge tech firms like Quantum Black, essentially bringing that AI and data expertise right into the fold.
All right, so after looking at this incredible, almost 100-year-long story, what's in it for you? What can we take away from their journey to build our own blueprints for success?
The lessons here are actually pretty clear and powerful. Number one, just like Bauer did, you have to stick to your values. That's your foundation. Two, embrace technology. You can't ignore it. Learn new tools to stay ahead of the curve. Three, lead with a crystal clear vision to keep your team pointing in the same direction. Four, manage your risks. Put rules in place to keep you safe and accountable. And finally, number five, never ever stop innovating for your clients or customers. It's a surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful blueprint for pretty much any ambition you have.
You know, when you think about it, McKinsey's ideas really did help shape the last 100 years of business. It's a pretty incredible legacy, which leaves us with one final big question to chew on. What ideas are going to shape the next century? And more importantly, what part will you play?